Jay Blak, straight like that.
Once again, Jay Blak, and I'm back with part 2 of my exclusive interview with Warner Horizon's Irritated Genie. Now in part 1, we addressed the agent rumors and how they all got started. This time, you'll hear him talk about racial warfare and the resistance to the white sex assault. So check it out, because you don't want to miss what this brother got to say. Peace, Hotep, and Black Power.
Racial warfare. Now, if we have racial warfare and we eliminate every white off the face of the planet tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Alright, good. Now I had to catch my. Now I had to say, man, you trying to tell me about heaven or something? You trying to give a brother chills up in there? Okay, good. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, let me. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, so Whitey's gone. However, the system of white supremacy has been so ingrained in us. Don't you see that the effects, or do you not agree that the effects would still be there? With white people gone, white supremacy would still be standing.
No, I would say with whites gone, then the individuals, because it is the most important thing to understand about white supremacy. It changes over time. Whatever it needs to become to keep us at the bottom, it becomes. So sure, if they were gone tomorrow morning, I'd be a very happy person. But the remnants of white supremacy would still be here. But then when we go out to tell people, you got to stop molesting children, there's nobody to come up and say, no, we're going to make it a law that it's okay to molest children. You see what I'm saying? There's nobody to say we're going to take away pedophilia out of the DSM manual about what is a disease or a disorder.
Real quick, a lot of people don't know what the DSM is.
It's a manual that's created to determine what the definition of illness and disorders are. And originally homosexuality was in there as a sickness.
Right.
They removed that, now they're promoting homosexuality. Same thing that they're doing now in the current environment, removing pedophilia to say, no, it's no longer a sickness. Whites got to be here to do that. So when the environment changed, they change. If there were no whites here to continue to change and make things worse, then once we decided to fix one problem, then we'd be on to the next problem and the next problem, and eventually we get rid of it. The problem with us now, we do a lot of work for our people in these movements and during these periods. We gain a lot of ground. But there's still these whites who are the instigators of problems amongst us. And they create new issues, and whenever we fall asleep, they still awake trying to create more problems for us, and then we in a whole new trick bag of problems. So once we get off heroin, they make crack. Once we get off crack, they make hip-hop. Once we stop with the hip-hop, they make homosexuality. They make AIDS. I mean, they just keep coming with warfare, so that if we start to look at it rationally, the real issue is not any of these individual issues in our community. These are the symptoms of the fact that there's a race out here that simply is encourageable in the fact that they want to exterminate our people, and it's not just a desire. And every discernible reality of black life around the world, there's some aspect, whether it's the food that they're putting in our communities, whether it's the misinformation that they're giving our children, whether it's the music that they're financing and giving our children, whether it's the mass incarceration of black people, whether it's having black women feel with low self-esteem, skin bleaching cream. If we name the list of things that are targeting the black community for destruction, it would feel like it's an endless list, and there's not one of those things that we will look at that we could not easily, if we have right information, trace back to where it came from, that it would be not out of the sky, not from no mysterious, mystical devil, but directly from a race that we call the white race.
Now, Elijah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, stated that, we need to separate from the white man as a race. That's a far cry from separation. This is extermination. Is it possible that we can coincide on this planet with the white race? Just maybe not in his house. If we would go back to Africa and reclaim Africa, is it possible that the white race could exist on this planet while we exist as well?
I'll say it this way. To me, it's a ridiculous question, because That's the very fundamental reason why we're in this discussion. The Native Americans were in the Western Hemisphere. They were separate from the whites. We were in Africa. We were separate from the whites. What happened when we were separate from the whites? They came and enslaved us, exterminated the Native Americans. Separating from the individual that is intent on killing you is just an opportunity to figure out what they're going to do to exterminate you. The reality of it, we have thousands of years of trying to navigate around white aggression. I mean, we found, so let's invite them in. Let's try to be friends with them. Let's integrate and marry into their bloodlines and let them dilute our bloodlines. I mean, we've tried everything you can possibly imagine. Let's forget who we are as a race and just try to be them. Nothing we've done has worked. The only thing that we've done that's been successful is when we say, you know what? We got some problems with you, and we're going to let you see how we feel about your aggression against us. And all I'm saying is, the reality of it is that if black people are going to survive on this planet, we cannot allow whites to continue to have the kind of power where they can just, I mean, systematically pick a point on the globe as the target for black people, send their Bibles or their diseases or their bullets, their guns, their tanks, and just go and start destroying black people. We've got to get to the point where we say it's well past time that whites no longer are capable of bringing pain to black people on planet Earth. That cannot be acquired by being in a separate location than them. Because then they'll use that distance to design a new design to shoot a bomb over to where we are. Now it's easier for them to isolate us and harm us. I'd rather be close to them. I mean, you ask me the question, separate. Okay, socially I want to be separated. I don't want to be involved in no homosexuality, no pedophilia, just white culture in general, abusive, just disruptive. We want to be cooperative people. We are family-oriented people. I like that. Let's separate from them socially. But man, the further you get away from them white folks, the more comfortable you get. And then you forget that they building guns and tanks and better weapons and things like that. And then you right back into a war. I'd rather live right close enough to them that whatever they produce, I have access to. If they use it against me, I should be able to use it against them. And then we close enough that they can't just target me for failure from thousands of miles away where I cannot reach over and say, hey, look here, hey, Billy Bob. Didn't like what happened to the sister last night. That wasn't a good decision. And let them feel where I'm coming from. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying the notion that we should be separate from them in a social environment, I agree. But the reality of it is they're not giving us any options. That's not going to be, okay, so we separate from them and they do the same thing they did in the Atlantic slave trade. They come back and get us. We did it in Rosewood. We separated from them, had our own community. We did it in Black Wall Street. We did it in Princeville. What they do in Princeville, oldest black community in this country. Open up the floodgates, open up the dam, and flood the oldest black community in this country. What they do in New Orleans, they blow up levees and flood the communities out and watch our people die and put it on TV so people can see. In Haiti right now in Haiti, here's the pride of African people. The single group of people on the history of the world.
Absolutely. No
other group of people in the history of the world have been enslaved, kidnapped, and taken to a foreign land, overthrown their enslavers, removed them from power, and become an independent people. It's the only group of people that's ever done it in the history of the world. And right now, they have whites, soldiers, systematically raping black boys and girls throughout the country. Their country that they fought for. So I'm saying, it's intolerable. It's unacceptable. Our Somalian brothers and sisters, they living peacefully. They make their living off the water. That's where they get their food and that's how they survive. You have these unscrupulous nations that come and dump toxic waste by the millions of gallons. And now they can't eat. So they're like, wait a minute, you've destroyed our whole ecology. And we can't eat now. So you got to give us some money for what you did to clean this up. And then they get the middle finger from these countries. So then why wouldn't our brother say, well, okay, so you're going to starve my babies to death? And then you're going to tell me you don't care? Well, I tell you what, I'm going to take my little boat, and when you come through with your big boat, I'm going to take my little boat and I'm going to come up on your big boat. You're going to give up something. Because they're not going to starve. You know, I'm a man. These are brothers. These are Nubians, man. These are some of the most ancient Africans on the planet. They're saying, look, we got a long bloodline that can't stop. And y'all are trying to stop the bloodline, so we're going to have to come to you with a different type of approach because asking is not working. Come on, man, as African people, we gotta look at them brothers and say, those are some soldiers.
Absolutely, absolutely. They call them pirates, I call them freedom fighters.
Freedom fighters, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know this is years from now, but they predict by 2050 that the white race will be pretty much eliminated by their own doing. With that said, because I heard you speak about, you know, mixing with the blood and diluting our blood. Now, does that dilute our blood or does that eliminate them? Because a lot of people will argue, well, that's really not a bad thing with all the mixing that's going on. It's actually getting rid of them because black is dominating, black is...
What happens is, there's a point where philosophy and history have to meet, and then you have to balance the two. So you can look at something philosophically and come up with a brilliant philosophical assessment of what's going on. Then you have to marry it with history. The reality of it is, if you take a pure black gene and a pure white gene, the black gene is dominant. However, the historical reality is, black people have never eliminated whites or a whole white civilization through intermixing. However, whites through history have used racial mixing with black people. This is history, not philosophy, to eliminate black people. They've done it in regions of Brazil. They've done it with our Tasmanian brothers and sisters. They've done it in Australia, where literally they just bring large groups of whites to come in and then they kill black people off, so they have small populations of black people. And then the way they kill those last black people is by taking a little bit of that black blood, diluting it into the white populace, and they still look white, a little bit of black blood, but the black race in that region is eliminated systematically and intentionally. So the reality of it is, in a practical basis, interracial dating and interracial marriage has only, in the history of the world, as a practical reality, it's only led to the genocide of black people. We've never used it as a form of racial genocide against whites. We haven't done it in the past, and it doesn't make any sense. If they dying off because they're not reproducing then who are we to prevent them from their natural course of their behavior on planet Earth? Why would we then go in, give them our seed to help them become more like us, and then give away our own race? It makes no sense.
You got the book, War on the Horizon, Black Resistant to the White Sex Assault. I heard you mention even before in the conversation how we're fighting these pedophiles like Eddie Long, and you know, I hear you. First of all, what is white sex? First of all, let's just do that.
White sex is a term that we've created to identify European sexual dysfunction. That includes misogyny, which is hatred for women, rape, homosexuality, pedophilia, which is child sexual abuse, bestiality, sadomasochism, sadism, masochism, group sex, cannibalism, and genocide. It's all a part of the rubric of the psychology of European sexuality, or dissexuality. And we created a term so it's not that every time they come up with some weird sexual thing to try to give it its own term, we just call all of it, since it comes from white culture, white sex.
Now, what do you think makes the white race so different from the African race as far as with their sexuality?
It's the development in the caves and hills of Europe, where they had a very difficult time eking out a living, and something in the nature of the European led them to the point where they had a deep-seated hatred for females based upon the fact that for African people in a warm climate where there's plenty of fruits, plenty of vegetables, plenty of way to make a living and to survive, you appreciate having children because you can take care of them. For the European in the caves and hills of Europe, it was cold, harsh climate, no food, they didn't have fire, they didn't have irrigation, so it was a hard way to make a living. So with sex between the white male adult and the white female, when they entered into that sexual relationship, it felt good to the European, but 9 months later to the male it felt good. But 9 months later it would produce another mouth he couldn't feed. And it began to become a real problem for him, because what he recognized was that this female was causing him problems because she could make him feel good, but for him it was like a trick. If he felt good, then a child will be born that he now had more pressure to figure out how to take care of that. So it is from that point that he developed a serious hatred for females, which you call misogyny. And the hatred for the female principle, which is totally different, which is the counterbalance to the natural order of African people, which is love and a balance between man and woman. That is the primary difference between Africans and Europeans in the foundation of European existence and life, if you want to call it life. It's a hatred for the female principle, which life comes through. So it's a death culture. The foundation of African civilization with our God principle, Asar, Aset, and Harut, the immaculately conceived child. Asar and Aset are balanced, equals. They're balanced, man and woman. And there's a love between them. And they were made to be complementary partners in the journey of life. So to make it simple, black men love and revere black women as a historical context. That is the foundation of black civilization. The foundation of European existence is a hatred for the female. And once you hate the female, then you have to do things to demonstrate that. So if you want to have sexual contact, you want to have some sexual contact with something other than a female. And if it is with a female, then it's violent and it's aggressive. And so this is what builds their sexual insanity, as opposed to what builds the sexual, if you will, normality of African people under normal circumstances.
Okay. Now, what made resisting the white sex assault such a priority for you to teach, you know, the predators and the myths, the feminization, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the black male? You know, this is a big topic with War on the Horizon. What made this such a major issue to be brought forth? Because a lot of people, I mean, really, you really are leading this race right here. You leading this pack when it comes to this topic.
I would say Brother Walimu Baruti is really the premier scholar of the 21st century. I would say he's leading the pack. Okay. But I would say we walking right there step in step with the brother, because he's doing it in literary fashion, homosexuality and the feminization of the African males. That is the primary book for the white sex, understanding white sex and the damage it's doing to the world, and African people in particular. Our resources are DVDs, so they're a little more user-friendly for the everyday person that can sit back and just watch it and begin to understand. But what happened was, to be quite frank, when you're trying to save your race and help your people, whatever the major problems, wherever the pulse of the war is going, you get drawn to it. It's like a magnet, because you're trying to save your people, so whatever's threatening your people is where you get pulled. And as the European creates different war mechanisms towards African people, that's where the warriors get pulled to, because that's the threat to the race. And so they are intentionally inspiring sexual abuse and rape and molestation of African people worldwide to destabilize black culture and black family life. They are pushing homosexuality to effeminize black males so that they don't have to deal with people resisting them, assaulting the African continent and assaulting black people in this country and worldwide in the interests of African people. They don't have to deal with black male aggression when they have a bunch of homosexuals, because that is that's in the center of the war against our people at this moment. That's why we spend that time there. Once we eliminate the feminization of black males throughout the world, and we emasculize ourselves again, and we black warriors again, then they'll be doing something else, and you'll see our focus go there. And our focus will go wherever the battle goes in order till we win this battle.
Right on. How big of a threat?
It's a checkmate. It's not a check, it's a checkmate. I just want you to think about it for a moment. People say, we got bigger issues. Economics. What about the fact we don't have our jobs in our communities? What about the black on black violence? At the end of the day, if you had to have a choice to have a son who was in a gang, a poor son, or even a son that was a criminal, I think most black men would agree. You pick all three of those together over having a son that's a homosexual, because he's not going to produce a family and grandchildren that you can appreciate and enjoy. There's no possibility of him in that condition being fit to be a father and a family man. Whereas these other three guys, a substantial amount of black men have fit all three of those categories, sometimes all at once. And he can change and then still be a man that can then take on a responsibility of having a black woman as a queen and a partner and having a family, being an uncle, but just being a good man for his race. So once you lose that battle, money doesn't matter, no matter how rich a homosexual is. Doesn't matter how fancy he is, how much knowledge he has. At the end of the day, his interests are invading the backside of another black male and putting his phallus in another black male's orifice on some level. I know it's really disturbing to hear. And that's just not something anybody can live with. If they do that, if we accept that, it wouldn't even matter how many of us were left on the planet. Essentially, we're dead as a race. What is a black man or a black community with just a bunch of homosexuals? What are they? What makes them black? Their skin color? He ain't a man. He can't be in line with his ancestors. He not like Garvey. He don't know Elijah. He don't know Brother Nat, the prophet. He can't know anybody. He don't know Robert F. Williams. He don't know black manhood. He's the complete opposite of it. He's an enemy to his own existence, and hence the war is lost.
Racial warfare. Racial warfare. Now, if we have racial warfare and we eliminate every white off the face of the planet tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. All right, go ahead. I had to catch my. I had to say, man, you trying to tell me about heaven or something. You trying to give a brother chills up in there. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, let me. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, so Whitey's gone. However, the system of white supremacy has been
Jay Black, straight like that.
Once again, Jay Black, and I'm back with part 2 of my exclusive interview with Warner Horizon's Irritated Genie. Now in part 1, we addressed the agent rumors and how they all got started. This time, you'll hear him talk about racial warfare and the resistance to the white sex assault. So check it out, because you don't want to miss what this brother got to say. Peace, Hotep, and Black Power.
But then when we go out to tell people you got to stop molesting children, there's nobody to come up and say, no, we're going to make it a law that it's okay to molest children. You see what I'm saying? There's nobody to say we're going to take away pedophilia out of the DSM manual about what is a disease or a disorder.
real quick. A lot of people don't know what the DSM is.
It's a manual that's created to determine what the definition of illness and disorders are. And originally homosexuality was in there as a sickness.
Right.
They removed that, now they're promoting homosexuality. Same thing that they're doing now in the current environment, removing pedophilia to say, no, it's no longer a sickness. Whites got to be here to do that. So when the environment changed, they change. If there were no whites here to continue to change and make things worse, then once we decided to fix one problem, then we'd be on to the next problem and the next problem, and eventually we get rid of it. The problem with us now, we do a lot of work for our people in these movements and during these periods. We gain a lot of ground. But there's still these whites who are the instigators of problems amongst us. And they create new issues. And whenever we fall asleep, they still awake trying to...
So ingrained in us. Don't you see that the effects, or do you not agree that the effects would still be there? With white people gone, white supremacy would still be standing.
No, I would say with whites gone, then the individuals, because it is the most important thing to understand about white supremacy. It changes over time. Whatever it needs to become to keep us at the bottom, it becomes. So sure, if they were gone tomorrow morning, I'd be a very happy person. But the remnants of white supremacy would still be here.